Have you decided to take the powerful journey of self-mastery and now you're at a point where you're asking questions like, how does this apply to my professional life? How does this apply to my personal life? How does this apply to my spiritual life and every aspect of my life? Well, I'd like to welcome you to Mastery 360, another segment within the Evolved Mastery podcast where I sit down and I speak with people from different walks of life as they share their own journey of self-mastery, wisdom that they've gained, and how they've learned to apply it to different aspects of their life. The goal is to bring wisdom and give you nuggets that will assist you on your journey. So if you're ready to really dive deeper and you're really ready to step into your power, then welcome to Mastery 360. Hey, and welcome to this episode, the first segment of Mastery 360. As you guys know, we've been doing this for a little while now, and I told you guys I was going to have something very special on the way for you. And today I have with me a very special guest, Miss Natalie Ehmka. And Natalie is probably one of the most powerful people I've experienced here recently in my own personal circle. And, you know, we talk about mastery. We talk about mastering yourself, stepping into your power and impacting people in a way that it changes the world. And when I first met her, just the way that she spoke, the way that her heart flowed, and how she talked about her group, the World Changers, I said I had to have this girl on my podcast, and so, moving into this, she's a motivational speaker, a corporate coach, healer, teacher, many other things. And I'm going to really just let her dive deep, today as we move forward into this episode of Mastery 360, because she truly is a master with a message and, a true conduit for the divine. So without further ado, welcome, Natalie Ehmka. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm fabulous. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm glad to have you on the show. I know that, as I always say, we all have our journey. We all have our path. And every one of those paths teaches us something. We have our earth curriculums and the lessons we learn, the aspects of self that we need to master and then evolve in our lives to really impact the world in some way. And so I want to start with you, just asking the question, what has your journey been? Who is Natalie? And what does that mean when it comes to what you bring, the gifts that you have to bring to the world?
I love that you're kicking this off talking about our curriculum, because I'm just that. I'm a girl with a curriculum who had her lessons that she started to learn from a young age. And if you look back, I was just talking about this morning on a call. We look back and we see the clues that we've left ourselves throughout our lives, and they don't make sense. Like, those moments don't make sense when you're in them. You can't connect the dots while you're in the dots, but when you look back, all of the dots connect and make sense, and have been leading you somewhere and teaching you certain lessons and deeper levels of those lessons. And that's who I am. I'm someone who, like all of us, has been working my own curriculum, going through my own lessons, and became so obsessed with that process that I began to study the very process of healing, of, our human behavioral patterns throughout my own journey. I started my own journey with my teachers almost 10 years ago and really went through my own unraveling, of my patterns, my human stuff. And I remember where I was sitting one day in a room with my teacher and my group, and I remember feeling someone else have a breakthrough and understand something about their life and their ways of being and how they had been. And I remember feeling the shift in her and in me. I even just get a chill as I feel it again. And I remember thinking in that moment, this is everything. This is all I want to do with my life. Is understand this and help people have those breakthroughs and help people shift their lives and then the lives of those around them. It was a really powerful moment for me. And that, again, didn't really know that would be how it would go in that moment, but I remember thinking that in that moment. And that was really when I buckled down on my studies. I buckled down on understanding what was going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just led me and guided me from there.
Awesome. Now, we see how far you've come, but where did that journey start?
Yeah. Great question. Well, it started, let's journey back now to, well, again, my whole life has kind of been guiding me toward this path. I started to show up as a speaker and somebody who wanted to be on stages and understand kind of how things worked when I was in middle school. I started doing speech and debate in middle school, high school. And then it led me into college. I did a lot of competitions and then went into college. Halfway through my college experience, I had a life-altering experience that took me down another path. I pulled back from speaking. I pulled back from everything that I wanted to do with the speaking world, and got kind of plunged into a traumatic event in my life, which was an assault. And I remember questioning everything. It was a very dark period in my life. I remember wondering what this whole life was about. It was a very pivotal time in my life. And one of the lights in my life at that moment, or during that time, was somebody saying to me, hey, like, I know you're not okay right now, but when you are wanting to speak about this, I work with this organization that sends people into schools to speak about their experiences as a means of helping and prevention. And I was like, wait, what? And I remember that like shifted me in that moment. I was like, hang on a second. Maybe that's why this happened. I kind of look back and go, wow, I've been speaking. I've been really interested I was studying journalism. I was really interested in sharing stories. And then I thought, maybe this happened to me so I could speak about it. And that led me into the speaking world professionally. This was back in 2004 and 2005. I started speaking. I got better. I went to therapy. I got through the actual process of the traumatic event, and then got to a place where I could start speaking about it. And that's what led me into professionally speaking in front of audiences. I was sharing my story as a means of prevention to raise awareness with high school students. I was driven by that purpose. It was really powerful. I traveled the country speaking. I built a career. For a little while, I was speaking with an organization, and then that shifted, and then I went out on my own. I joined a national speaking tour. I was traveling the country speaking about this topic. And I remember I'd found my first, so this moment I'm talking about now is about 2014. I was standing on a stage. I'd been speaking for about 10 years, kind of riding this wave of being a professional speaker, but also like questioning, wondering what was going on with me in my life. I found my first spiritual teacher about 3 years before that. I was standing on a stage in the middle of nowhere. It was a very small school in Kansas. And I remember saying, what happens to you doesn't have to define you. And I had one of those moments where I like lifted up and out of my body. And I looked at myself and I was like, do you know what you're even saying? Because I had defined myself and my life and my career by something that had happened to me. Mm-hmm. And it was that moment that made me go, whoa. And I took a step way, way back from speaking professionally. And I knew I needed to reevaluate, figure things out, and unravel that. Mm-hmm. And it took me about 2 years to really unravel that and the attachment to that story and why I had been speaking the way I had been. And again, like, I applied everything that I knew about, our behavioral patterns and this, mm-hmm. All these things about the things that keep us trapped. And the next thing you know, I'm out of this kind of stronghold of that story and got to figure out who I was without that. So that's when certain gifts started to come online. I started to get really clear on coaching and helping people one-on-one, and then helping people in large groups with an entirely different mindset. So that's a little bit of the background of how I got here today. It's been a very public yet personal ride. And, I was thinking about this yesterday. We can go out there and we can share our story, we can speak, but there's a significant amount of work that has to happen behind the scenes too.
Definitely.
And thinking about this topic, thinking about what we're talking about today, mastery is a lot of little moments of understanding that and then finding the balance of moving out and then moving in, moving out and moving in. It's like breathing.
Exactly.
We need both.
I love that you said that. It's like breathing. I always say with each breath, we become something new. We breathe in, we reflect, we breathe out and release the wisdom of that reflection.
So good.
And I think it's true. What you said. A lot of the time, it's what most people miss is that one instance or that one reflection. Like you said, you had a reflective moment. Like, hey, like you're doing exactly what you're telling them not to do, And I think as coaches, when we truly are doing the work, we have many of those moments. I don't think one day passes by when it's like, wait a minute, like take a step back. Because, we're on our own. We have our own curriculums like everyone else. And I always say, you can't take someone somewhere you haven't been. And so those of us who have been assigned and gifted to teach, to change the world and to bring light in the way that we do, we are the student teachers always. We never stop learning. I always say I'm an eternal student.
Yes.
And that's what makes the journey so beautiful. But being able to be vulnerable, not just externally, but being vulnerable internally is so important. And, just because you started your journey and you had a lot of wisdom that a lot of people in the world don't necessarily have, it only shows, like you said, connecting the dots, that you were being prepared for something for an expedited state of growth. So it wouldn't take you so long to process through it because your purpose and your message was so important, and when we look at, evolution, I say we evolve through self-mastery. Change is the only constant. So while we're bouncing through our lives and going from dot to dot to dot to dot to dot, we're experiencing so many different levels of changes.
Yes.
And I always tell my clients, when you feel yourself getting stuck, it's only because you're not evolving.
Yep.
Things are changing and you're choosing to stay in this illusion of quote unquote stuck. But you're not stuck. You've just stopped.
Yeah.
If you could go back to your younger self, what is something that you would share with her?
Well, I really want to speak to something you just said, and then I want to go to that because this is like popping up. I love what we're talking about here because I call those doorways. As coaches and people who help guide other people, we are just pointing out doorways all day long. Going, oh, hey, here's the doorway. Do you want to see, do you want to see? Are you willing to look at this doorway? And then people either say yes or no, energetically or out loud, and then they go through the doorway. And that's what we are as coaches and as teachers. We're equal parts student because we're always going through our own doorways. And we're just bravely pointing it out for ourselves and others. And of course, we have people pointing out our own doorways too. We're always going to have doorways. We're always going to have new pathways to explore within ourselves. It just gets, the reaction time gets a little quicker.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's a doorway for myself. Gonna go in now.
Yeah.
Gonna love myself through this doorway. That's what I always say. Just let me through this. And what you were talking about with somebody getting stuck, it's like, they may see the doorways, but may not be willing to go through them. And there are things that will happen along our journey to get our attention. if there's a doorway we really need to go through or that we promised we would go through. And I call those little spiritual 2x4s that hit us over the head, that are like, hey, you need to go through this doorway. And they could show up in the form of people, events, etc. But it's really just a matter of, like, mastery is about going through the doorways, seeing the doorways. And then you hire a coach or you bring someone into your life to light up some doorways for you or just shine a light on the doorway. We're not an expert on anyone else. We're just experts at saying, hey, here's a doorway I see. Yeah. Only because I've seen so many of my own doorways, only because I've gone through I've been willing to look at my own doorways. That's it. We've just studied the path of transformation and what it looks like, how it feels. And that's how we lovingly are able to take someone else by the hand and do it. If I could go back, I love your question because it's kind of related to this now. if I could go back and talk to like younger self, I think I figured this out eventually, but I think I would tell her what you said, that things are supposed to change. Because when I hit those traumatic points in my life, I immediately thought something's wrong. Oh my gosh, it wasn't supposed to go like this. It wasn't supposed to, my course of my life wasn't supposed to change like this. You know, I thought something was wrong. You know, I'm doing air quotes right now. Thought something was quote unquote wrong because things were changing. Change shows up in so many ways and so many forms, and it does sometimes show up in the form of pain.
Yes.
But it's change, you know. And I think I didn't waste time because it's all perfect, but
yes.
I think I spent a lot of time sitting in that space of something is wrong, this wasn't supposed to happen this way, something's wrong, rather than embracing the shifts and the change and then, you know, finding the doorways from there. That's a really big thing, I think, for a lot of people, you know, because we get stuck on how things look right now. And then we overanalyze
we
get attached. We get attached to like how things look right now. And that's what I was in that time when I first hit my first like traumatic point in my life. It was like I was attached to how that looked. And I wasn't and now I understand what's happening when things like that move. You detach a little bit quicker, a little bit more easily. You loosen your grip on things. But at the time, I was a little younger, obviously, and I was in this space of like, no, I have to hold on to this way of being in this life and everything that it is right now, having no idea that you know the only constant in life was change at that point in my life. So
that's right.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. You know, and it's, you know, what you were saying about dealing with your clients, just showing them the doorways. You know, I never, and I'm sure you're the same, I never treat one client the same as another because I always say every client is like a combination lock. And, you know, as a master code breaker, you know, it's like I sit there and I listen. Like if we just listen intently, you know, to show them what their code is, how to unlock those codes within themselves so that they can fully step into their life vulnerably, you know, and step out of, you know, that victim state, you know, where they're questioning all the decisions they've made, the experiences they've had, you know, and they get stuck in this false sense of this little self, you know, and never fully step out of it, you know, and like you said, getting a coach, getting a guide, getting someone who can shine the light on those little doorways and say, look, this is a path for you. This is a path for you. You have choices in the midst of your change, because it's easy to get stuck thinking, I have no choice. You know, I have to experience this. These are the cards I was dealt, you know, but there are so many different cards being dealt in every single moment, and you have a plethora of choices, but sometimes you have to go within to find those cards. You know, sometimes it's outside, you know, but what I found for me on my journey, most of the cards and most of the answers were always inside. Yeah.
Oh, and you know why that is? It's because I help my clients see and start to understand that there are things you've set things up this way for yourself. Like what if you set up this experience to show yourself something, you know? And that's why it's so easy to find the answers when you go within, because it's almost like, oh my gosh, I've got the problem, but I've also got the answers in the back of the book at the same time. And it doesn't seem like that at first. So that's kind of the illusion of it. But once you start to understand, like, hey, maybe I set this up for a reason, or maybe this was for some purpose that I just can't see yet. Can you help me see this? You start to shift how you hold the experience. And that's kind of like a WD-40 to move through it differently. You know, it really kind of like helps you hold it differently and lubricates it so you kind of like let go. Yeah. Because you're thinking differently just about it. And once you get curious, I say this all the time to my clients, once you get curious about why things are the way they are, that will shift, that like kind of takes the room and shifts it a little so you can look at it from a different angle. Rather than, you know, holding on, and I'm not saying don't feel the feelings. Absolutely feel the feelings. You've got to feel the feelings. But once you are, you know, this is kind of for those that are stuck. Maybe stuck in feeling the emotion, stuck in feeling the anger, just stuck in that circle. If you just like twist it a little and say like, well, let's look at maybe why this could be happening. What is this showing you? What could this be pointing at? It's a different way to hold it.
Definitely. I love that. You know, because I think that when this is one thing that I believe. A lot of the times we are so stuck in our personality that we completely forget that we are spiritual beings. We are pure energy.
Yep.
We are pure power.
Yep.
But we lock ourselves into these personas. We step so deeply into this egoic personality that we forget the aspect. We came into this world and we completely forgot what we are.
Yep.
So taking them to that place where it's like going within, you are reconnecting to yourself, your divine being. You're getting out of your head, you're getting out of perspective, and you're going within.
So good.
You're seeing deeper into the essence of your state of being, where it's all birthed from. Because everything you believe about yourself, about your situations, about your life, a lot of that is based on mental programs.
Right.
But you are not those mental programs.
Right.
You're not the thoughts in your brain. You are the observer of it all, and you choose what you're going to give power to in every single moment.
Yes. This is awesome. And this is a perspective that I offer as well, is this perspective of soul contracts. I talk about this a lot. I think I talked about this when we first met. And I offer this to my clients, people I work with when I speak. It's like, what if you contracted to do these things? What if there was a contract between you and this person that you quote unquote feel like hurt you in this moment? What if there was a contract for that to happen, for it to show you something, for it to somehow leave you better? What if that was the case? And what if you set it up that way before you came here, before you came into the body? What if it's just about remembering what that contract was?
Yes. And I think that's huge. Well, I know that that's huge. Like realizing that, again, there was a contract. No matter what, every person that I've ever experienced, I won't even say a negative experience, a learning experience from being molested to being abused. If I look back again, like you said earlier, connecting the dots, it all taught me something. It all gave me not pain, but it gave me a blessing through those lessons. With every one thing I now experience, there are a million people out there experience just one of those things, but taking ownership of the fact that, wait a minute, I am aware now. I set this path for myself, and being able to own that, I no longer have to worry about being a victim in my life.
Yes.
With every person and every experience, there's this awesome video on YouTube, and it's called A Season, a Reason, or a Lifetime. No, A Reason, a Season, or a Lifetime.
Yep.
And I love that video because it talks about how every person comes into your life for a reason. Some for a season, some for a lifetime. But when you can learn what the reason of them coming into your life is, the reason of them coming into your life always brings a gift. It always brings a message. It always brings a lesson. And it's a lot easier to let go. Stop blaming. Stop pointing the finger.
Right. This is huge. Okay, so now I'm guided to share this movement that came to me. It was a message that came to me. I started to share it with youth audiences about 2 years ago, but now I think it's taken on a life of its own and wants to go somewhere bigger. So let's talk about it here. I was sitting in my house and I heard this phrase, "You left me better." And I just kind of knew it was a hashtag. So I went and searched it and I was like, oh, this has got to be a thing. It's got to be like a movement, right? So I go in and look it up. And I remembered, I even took a screenshot of it. There was this empty blank screen that said there are no tweets about this. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a thing. And we get a chill as I feel about it because I'm like, this is like a move. Like, let's talk about this. So then I ended up making it into a movement, and you can follow it. Actually, it's now on Instagram and Twitter. It's at You Left Me Better. But it's a movement to help people identify through gratitude someone who's left them better. And it kind of started as like a little bit of a, kind of a through your everyday activity sort of a movement. Like, ooh, who's someone who left me better? Oh, that stranger complimented me. Or, oh, that person said hi to me in the subway. And, oh, that person gave me a Kleenex when I was crying. Oh, that person left me better. And it became a way to shout them out.
Yeah.
But then I started to understand there's deeper meaning to this. I did a lot of speaking engagements on this, and I started to really feel like, oh my gosh, if we look back, if we really bravely look back, we will see that every situation and every person left us better.
Yes.
It takes courage to see that, to understand it, and to really start to embody it and send that blessing back once you find it within yourself. But it's everything.
Yeah.
You start to really feel how much that expands you, just that awareness. And it's a space to just sit in and just be in.
Especially, and I know there may be some listeners who are listening to this and thinking to themselves, there's no way that this situation left me better. There's no way that, what I experienced with this person left me better. And what I want to challenge you to do is to really go within and ask yourself, what lessons did I learn from this?
Yes.
What did this teach me about myself? Maybe I gave my power away in certain situations. Maybe, I gave space in my life to things that taught me a lesson. Things that I need to reflect on and maybe shift out of, certain habits or, everything brings a lesson to us. And self-mastery is about going within, it's about facing yourself. And it's one of the toughest journeys you'll ever take, because nobody will mirror to you greater than you will mirror to yourself. Everything that you're creating, although every person that we encounter are mirrors in our lives, there's always that small, still voice within you that's talking to you, that's bringing awareness, your higher self, your guides. There's so many things that are happening around us all the time, and everyone mirrors something to us. And so I challenge you to start going deep within. Don't allow yourself to get pulled into this place of playing the victim and playing that blame game, because it's easy. It's so easy to get trapped by that mentally, because we create so many programs and so many emotional blocks. And the more we do that, the more we lock ourselves down. But, it's like Natalie keeps saying, it's like everything, it's all a path. It's a chosen path. It's a created path.
Yeah. I love this too. And we're shifting a lot of this mentality on the planet right now. We really are shifting out of the victim mentality. If you look, there's little clues everywhere. People are starting to understand, like, ooh, I'm okay. Like, let's take a little bit of responsibility here. And where can I really shift out of how I've been holding this particular situation? And that it's great. It's the evolution of humanity right now that's happening. We're in a really cool time. But it takes work, and it takes all of us doing those taking those moments to look for ourselves, doing the work for ourselves, going through those doorways. So even just listening to this, doorways may be popping up for you. Things may be popping into your awareness right now. Those are lit up doorways, and you have a choice to go through it or not. And it's a lot of brave choices to go through the doorways that lead to a space of self-mastery, understanding of yourself, your journey, and other people. That's the ultimate reward, really, is this space of peace and compassion within yourself, for yourself and for others, for the world.
Awesome. I'm loving how this is just going. And Natalie, I know that, your passion, you have such a passion for people, and your collective group, the World Changers. Tell us a little bit about the World Changers and the group that you have going on.
World Changer Collective is what I call it. Okay, so the World Changer Collective is a very special group of people who know they're here to help anchor down the next level of awareness, the next state of being on the planet. We also look like business owners, entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches, anybody really. We're all kind of hanging out in all the different industries and all the different spaces, but we're holding a different awareness about the world. And the really cool thing about identifying as a world changer is that anybody can do it.
Yes.
Anybody can do it. Anybody can choose to change their world and then change the world of those around them. In those little moments, through your actions, through just the vibration that you hold in your movements. That's a world changer.
Yeah.
Everybody can make that choice, but not everybody will.
Yeah.
And in that, there's kind of levels of it. And I've got several people from all over the globe I say several. It's a large collective of people that are all over the globe that are doing this and understand that that's what we're here to do, and they want to do it. And it looks like doing the work for yourself, and for those particular people that I work with really closely, they are actually doing it in their profession too. So I work with world-changing businesses, people who are blazing a path where there is no path, either like in their industry, in their community.
The innovators.
Yeah, innovators. Those are people I work with, and I help them with the energy of what they're doing, so that it can move out and make the impact that they're meant to make.
I love that. I love that. World changers. I love how you always say, like, anyone can be a world changer, because a lot of the times there's the stigma that you're born special. Only certain people,
we're all special,
can do that. But I always say, if you're breathing and you are on this planet right now, you are special. You are amazing. You are powerful.
You are. This is so real. I'm going to riff on this with you for a second, because again, this is radical compassion. If you're in a body right now and you're walking the planet right now, you are a rock star. One of my teachers said that to me once, and I was like, this is so real and so true, because it is hard to be here right now.
Yes,
it's a chaotic time on the planet. It is a time of massive change, huge, exponential evolution happening on a regular basis. It's a really interesting time to be here. I mean, it's always interesting to be here, but it's a really powerful time to be here on the planet. So if somebody's here, it's because they've chosen to be here.
That's right.
And no matter what their experience is or what they're doing, they are here for a reason. They're anchoring things down. They're learning their own lessons. They're going through their own experiences. I mean, it's all real and important.
Yes.
And when you really understand that too, you start to look at like people differently.
Definitely.
You have radical compassion in those moments where you could choose to get upset. And I'm not saying that certain things won't still pop up and trigger you. Those are your doorways.
Yes.
Hold them as a doorway for yourself, not as something someone did to you and did wrong, and that's something that they then therefore are doing that's quote unquote bad in the world. No, like they're doing the best they can. You're doing the best you can. So when something flares up for you, recognize that's a doorway for you. That is a key for you to your freedom.
Yes.
That's it. And that person has just been giving you that gift to see that in that moment. So anyway, we're going into this. We're moving into this space on the planet right now, the space of people understanding this more. So I love talking about this and helping people see those little moments for themselves throughout their day and throughout their life in general.
Well, Natalie, I appreciate you just taking some time out of your day and out of your schedule to sit down with me. And I know that there's so many different levels that we could dive into in this podcast, but if the people wanted to contact you, what would be the best way? And also, before I even say this, all of her contact links will be in the description of this podcast, and a lot of the things on these podcasts that we discuss, we're barely scratching the surface on these podcasts to some degree. But if you'd like to go deeper and you'd like to get connected to Natalie, in one of her programs, or you feel like you're a world changer and you're ready to be inspired, I challenge you to take the step through the doorway that has been presented to you through this podcast and reach out to Natalie, because she's truly, truly a light in this world. And if anybody can bring the world changer out of you, I believe it's her.
Wow, thank
you.
Natalie,
how can they get in touch with you?
Well, I do. There's a couple ways to work with me, but one of the ways I'm feeling guided to share right now is that you can do just a deep dive with me, a 90-minute deep dive. You'll get a current energy read. You'll get messages for you that are coming through for you right now. If you feel stuck, if you know you want to work with somebody, but you're not sure, what's next. A lot of people are drawn to these sessions because it helps provide clarity, next steps, awareness of where you might be sitting right now in your journey. I do those. People started requesting those, and it became this thing, and I love offering it because you might be feeling like you want to find a coach, but at the same time, there's things you need to see first before you embark on a 3-month journey with a coach. And coaches and teachers are so, so important. I wouldn't be where I am today without my teachers, without my coaches, without I took an 18-month journey with my first teacher. Like, it was like, let's go.
Yeah.
You know, so coaches and teachers are so important because they hold a space for you, a feedback, a space of compassion, a space of true transformation. Transformation happens in containers, is what I always say.
I like that.
So I provide small containers too, like a 90-minute container. If you want, you can book a deep dive with me and we'll just go in. It'll be a really precise energy read on what's going on for you right now, some doorways that you may need to be walking through, that you may be seeing. You don't know how to walk through, whatever it might be, whatever is coming up for you will come into that session. 100% confidential, 100% safe. That's like one of the biggest ways. So if you're feeling any call to anything I've said, that is a good way to work with me. We'll put the link down there to my website. And then, I've got a couple other ways. I've got the World Changer group. I've got a course. If you're feeling like you want to get more in tune with yourself, your intuition, how you make decisions, when signs are coming in, I've got a little course you can try to that really all just guide you back to you. That's how I work. So,
all right, guys. Well. The doorway has been presented, and there's so many other doorways that doorway will lead you into. And like I said, I'm going to include all of the links in the description for this podcast. But again, Natalie, I appreciate you for taking some time out of your day, to really sit with me. I truly appreciate it. We're all evolving and we're all mastering ourselves in every single moment. And
thank you.
I appreciate your mastery. I appreciate the energy that you bring and allowing just your spirit to flow, your guides to speak through you, and really just bring a strong message of love, hope, and healing to the world. That's what this is all about.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for creating this space to have these discussions and to call this energy forth for the world.
You're welcome. Well, guys, you know where I'll be on each and every podcast. Evolve to Mastery on iTunes, Spotify, Castbox, and also Google Music. I'd love to hear back from you guys. I'd love to hear, what you think about the podcast. Or are there some topics that you guys would like for me to hit on? What types of areas are you trying to find your way in, or you may be feeling like, I feel like I want to move forward and I want to progress in a certain area, but I don't really know what steps to take. Reach out to me, because I'll be sitting down with other people, who have mastered specific areas, and I'd love to bring that value so that it can be added to your life. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Mastery 360. If you'd like to get in contact with me, you can reach me through evolvedmastery.com. That's EVOLVED mastery.com. Or you can contact me through social media across all platforms at Evolved Mastery. And like I said, Natalie's information will be linked in the description, so feel free to contact her. And I urge you just to show some love, go follow, go share your journey, your story, and if needed, allow her to open some doors for you so that you can step powerfully into every moment of your life. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Mastery 360. I send you love, peace, joy, and happiness, and I'll be talking to you again soon. Peace.